What's up, guys? Good morning. How was your weekend? I hope everyone had a really great weekend. I had a nice relaxing weekend, which was a bonus because I had finished most of my work on Friday, so Saturday and Sunday I just kind of got to enjoy being off for a little bit, and I didn't really have to worry too much about schoolwork. I did have some laminating to do, but that was super quick. That I did yesterday, and I was able to cut it out. I did forget my felt at school on Friday, so I have my hot glue gun today as well as some glue sticks, and I'm going to go in right now and try to hot glue some felt on the back of my pieces for the little old lady who is not afraid of anything, because that is part of my activity today. We're doing a felt board story retell. Oh my goodness. The sun is so bright. I don't understand. Okay, it's not working for me. Oh goodness. Not much better. There we go. So that is on my agenda today. It is officially October. It is officially, in my mind, fall. 31 days of all of my favorite things: scary movies, pumpkins, candy, and dressing up. So, it officially feels like fall today too, because it is 43 degrees this morning, and I'm not about the cold life, but I was able to break out my scarf, so we're in the fall spirit. I probably should have brought a jacket because I'm freezing, but it is supposed to be a high of like 76 today, so we'll see. This sun is just not working with me this morning. But I'm gonna head in, like I said, get my felt glued onto the back of my storyboard pieces, because I need those for 10 o'clock and probably 9, but with my other preschoolers at my school, I may just jump straight into the paperback puppet, and then we can do the storyboard next time, just as a kind of retell and a reminder. We shall see. I have a lot planned this week, and yeah, we are fully immersed in the October/Halloween spirit, so I finally get to thoroughly enjoy all of the things that I'm doing. Not that I don't enjoy other stuff, but you know, Halloween is when I really amp it up. So I'm gonna head in right now. I will check in with you guys once I have everything finished gluing and it's dried. So I will show you what is on the agenda for today in a little bit. Okay, I hot glued all of my felt pieces on the back, and now for the moment of truth to see if they actually stick. They do. Not that great, but they do stick, thank goodness, because that would have been really embarrassing. It does all stick to the felt board. You do kind of have to have it at a little bit of an angle, because I feel like if I were to lift this all the way up, yeah, my pieces would fall off. So you just have to slant it, or maybe get some better felt. Not quite sure. But that is what our pumpkin scarecrow looks like. I'm glad he fits. I'm glad it at least semi-stays. The gloves look huge, so those are really funny. But here is for our felt board story. I've got my brown paper bags for our puppets if we get to that today. If not, then we can just do it later this week. And then I've got my actual ones. These are the sequencing pages, and then these are all of the clothes that we're gonna put on our puppets. So hopefully, with any luck, we will be able to get these done. I'm actually gonna cut these out for my other preschoolers in the group session, so I'm just going to go through and cut out 10 of all of them, just in case we do get to the puppets today. I don't want to have to cut them there because it's going to take too much time. So I'm going to get started on that. is the end of the day today, and we just let all of the kids out for dismissal. It went really well, actually. I did mostly the story, The Little Old Lady Who Was Not Afraid of Anything, and I did a lot of my felt retail boards, and we didn't actually get to make any of the puppets today. The story took up, if not the whole class time, we have to finish it next time. So it is a little bit longer than I thought it would be, but the kids really do love the repetition and getting to act out the parts. So I kind of use that as a chance to do a little bit of a movement break, which worked out really well, especially with some of my younger kids who kind of have the wiggles and the squirms anyway. So that's a positive. I did get to do one group for my Roll a Monster or my Make a Monster game. They love the dice. That's a huge hit. Just the fact that it's foam. I do have a lot of kids that either want to kind of create their own monster off of my templates, or that want to decorate it their own kind of way. So I have some kids that are taking all of the pieces, and other kids that are making them out of monsters that they already have in their head, or monsters from their favorite TV shows. So they won't necessarily take a nose or a mouth if the character doesn't have it, but it's totally fine. It all works out. I'm getting tons of trials in to drill for the articulation, and it's going super fast, and they're staying super engaged in it because it's something that they really like to do, and they're all really excited to be able to make their monster and kind of decorate it however they want it to look at the end. So I do definitely recommend that if you have kids that are old enough or high enough to be able to color it in and kind of decorate it the way that they want to. But definitely for my younger kids, if I use it, I'm probably going to be doing just the already pre-made ones where they collect the pieces, and whoever makes it first kind of wins the monster game. But it's a super huge hit. I'm so glad that the kids love it as much as I do. I think they can kind of tell how excited I am for Halloween. So, and a lot of them love Halloween as much as I do. So that's a huge bonus because I'm all about Halloween. But tomorrow we are going to be making our paper bag puppets. Today after school, I do have to go to the library here in town and see if they'll give me a library card. I filled out an application last night because they said you could fill it out and then just bring in your card and you get an ID. So I'm hoping, even though I don't technically live in this town, that they'll let me have a library card, because I did put the book on hold. Even Monsters Need Haircuts. I know I talked about that, I think, in last week's vlog, that I was going to try to find it. I was going to buy it, but Books A Million only has a hardcover version, I think, and I'd have to order it offline, so I don't think it would get here in time. And I'm not a huge fan of buying a book before I've even read it, so I don't even know if it's going to be good or if I'm going to be able to use it. I don't see why not. I'm usually pretty good at making an activity to suit pretty much all books, but if it ends up not being something that I really like, I would like to be able to find a different book to use for, I think the letter E. Yes, next week is the letter E. So we'll see. Hopefully they'll let me pick it up and check it out today. Hopefully they'll give me a library card. I do have to head there right as soon as school gets out, though, just because I know they close and we get out super late. So that's my plan for today and the rest of this evening going forward. And then, like I said, tomorrow we're going to keep reading the book, and some of my groups that I saw today will be making their scarecrow puppets for The Little Old Lady Who Was Not Afraid of Anything. And hopefully they remember it. They did a pretty good job today, I think, in the book. Oh my goodness, I don't know how many times we did it. I read it a lot today. Clomp, clomp. Wiggle, wiggle. Shake, shake. Clap, clap, nod, nod, boo, boo. I think that's all of them. So, and they, they really do like it. And by the end, they all kind of knew the sequence that it went in. So, hopefully they remember it for tomorrow so we don't have to do a whole refresher. And, I just might have to prompt them a little bit. But that is that. So I'm going to finish up some log notes right now just before I have to leave. And then, like I said, I'm going to head to the library, and fingers crossed that that book is as cute as I hope it is. And I think it is. It got good reviews. So I will let you guys know for sure, though. And if I decide to plan anything around it, I will let you guys know that too, and kind of what I'm thinking of doing for a group activity with it. So I will check in with you guys tomorrow. Good morning, guys. Happy Tuesday. I am just about into work right now. I wanted to wait until it was semi-okay lighting, which this really isn't, but the sun is not blaring in my eyes, so that's a bonus. Yesterday, I know I said that I was going to the library to pick up the book Even Monsters Need Haircuts, and also to get a library card because I don't have one. And I did go. I went there and I got my library card. They were super nice about letting me have one even though I don't live in this town. I got a teacher one, and that allows you to, I think, rent up to 30 materials and keep them for 8 weeks. So that will be extremely helpful going forward, especially as I'm planning for things. And it's nice that I can put holds online and then just go in and pick them up. That being said, though, I had put Even Monsters Need Haircuts on hold online on Sunday night, but they can't find it. So they did not have it for me yesterday. And the woman said, hopefully they will get it. They said it's in transit. I don't know where it's in transit from, but I'm hoping that they text me sometime this week so that I can pick it up, because I do actually need to read it so I can plan my activity on it. So the sooner the better, because I really don't want to have to do it over the weekend. But I'm hoping that they even get it in time. As a precaution, I think I'm going to come up with another book that I can use for the e-week, just in case I do not want to get stuck without an activity on Monday for next week. So I'm trying to be preemptive in my strategies and lesson planning. I'm heading in today right now. I have to print out some more of my Make a Monster pieces. That actually is officially live. My internet is just spotty enough now where it's starting to work again. I don't think I had any problems yesterday, and I didn't have any problems this morning. So hopefully whatever's been wrong with it is taken care of, because it's no fun when your internet's kicking in and out. But I was able to get the Make a Monster activity live, and it is now available in case anybody would like to use that this month, because I do fully appreciate being able to make my very own Frankenstein creation. I also want to go in today and plan out the paper bag puppet. I think I might try to make a demo one. I haven't had to do it yet, so I haven't had to explain that to anyone, but usually it helps if there's a model that the kids can see. So I'm going to go in and try to put one of those together pretty quickly, because I do start right at 9 o'clock with the littles today, and I want to have that ready for them so that they know what they're doing. Although I think the first group, or it might be the second group, I think the second group we're finishing the book today, and then the first group I'm going to see if we can get through it. And then we can make the puppet tomorrow. I didn't realize it would be as long as it is, but I guess when you're stretching it, asking questions and commenting on pictures and asking kids to find stuff, it tends to take up more time than it would if you were just, I guess, reading it by yourself. But that's what's on my agenda for this morning. I handed out all of my paperwork to the teachers yesterday for any upcoming triennials. I do have a student that I have to observe just for his triennial in the classroom, but I think I'm going to hold off on that until Friday, because Friday I do have an IEP meeting at the other preschool, and being that Fridays are usually my indirect therapy days, it gives me a chance to kind of scoot about the school and touch base with people that I need to touch base with. I will check in with you guys a little later. Hey guys, so I have a few minutes left on my lunch, and I just wanted to give y'all an update on how my morning went. It was really well. We haven't started doing the puppets yet. My two groups didn't get to read the story yesterday, so we reread it today, or we read it for the first time, and then we went over the motions, and then I actually got pulled for an IEP session and missed one of my groups that was going to make the monster, and my other group unfortunately did not start decorating. They were still working on acquiring their pieces, so I do not have any today to show, I don't think, because I only have one group doing it in the afternoon and they haven't started yet either. This will be their first time doing it. So hopefully by next week or so, or the end of this week I'm hoping, they will be finished enough to where I can show you guys kind of the decorations. I do want to hang them up for the month of October around the room and kind of maybe outside a little bit and just kind of see how that goes. But that's that. Right after I finish filming this, I'm going to go down with my one group, and we are going to make the scarecrows for the story the little old lady who was not afraid of anything. So I have a really good feeling about that. One little boy was not here yesterday. He was on a field trip. But the good news is that the Scarecrow activity is enough or diverse enough that you can do it without having read the book, and it could just be a language prompt and you guys can talk about different things and whatnot. So that'll be great, and then I can just work on it with the other student in the group that was there yesterday for the story. But that's pretty much it for today, what I've got going on. I've been kind of looking for some other books for the E word or the letter E, and I haven't had any luck yet. I'm going to keep checking them out. I've also been kind of looking up what I'm going to do this year for our fun fair. It is a superhero theme, and I'm thinking I'm going to go as Catwoman because it merges my love of cats into everything, and that's what I try to do. I try to incorporate cats into most of my daily life. Cats and food. Cats and food are my top priorities, but I'm thinking of doing that. There aren't a ton of female Hollywood superheroes or supervillains, I feel like, that are appropriate, I guess, for work. So I'm thinking about going off of that and kind of trying to be as authentic as I can while still remaining appropriate for a work environment. But that is for our annual trick-or-treat street. We call it Fun Fair, but essentially the kids get to come in and all the different classrooms have different games and activities to do, and they get some candy out of it. Who doesn't love candy? That's all I've got for now, but I will catch up with you guys at the end of today and show you if we actually got to finish anything. Hey guys, it is officially the end of the day. Dismissal just wrapped up, and I wanted to let you guys know that I got a text from the library that apparently they have found my book, so I am going to run there after school today and go pick it up. So hopefully I can start lesson planning for next week. I have some really bad news. My throat started to hurt right after lunch, and it's only gotten worse, and I'm just praying that I'm not getting sick again because I absolutely despise being sick, and I stay sick for pretty much forever, it feels like, at least 2 weeks, and I was just sick 2 weeks ago. So I'm hoping that it's a fluke and it goes away, but I'm going to go home and take some preemptive measures, drown myself in emergency, drink lots of tea, and take some echinacea. I hear that helps. I'm not sure. I feel like I'm catching the cooties this year an awful lot, but hopefully, fingers crossed, it's nothing compared to what I had, which honestly wasn't so awful, but I was definitely out for the count for a little bit. Usually I get one really bad illness a year and then I'm good, so I was hoping that what I got in September was it and I got it out of the way and I was done, but maybe not, so well, sad. We shall see. I am going to wrap up. I actually started on some articulation spooky stories, and I think I'm gonna do that not next week, but maybe the week after, the week of the 16th. I think next week, especially with my older kids, we're gonna end up finishing the Make a Monster, because the more I was looking at it, the more I'm realizing that a lot of my students only come once a week that are older, so they only had today or yesterday to do it, and they didn't get to finish it. I also think going forward, I'm going to have them glue it on as they get them, and then this way it's not collecting them and then gluing them on. I think it'll just expedite the process a little bit more, especially for my younger kids. I will pre-cut out the monster pieces, and then they can just kind of make them as they go and then decorate them at the very end. And I think that'll help move things along a little bit quicker so they do get a chance to make the monsters. But I am thinking also, because next week on the 9th, on Monday, we have a professional day, so the students aren't here, and the kids that I would see on Monday don't get a chance to start the activities, that I would just do a carryover so that they can kind of wrap it up as the week progresses. But I did get started on some articulation spooky stories for some of my older kids that are able to tackle the reading portion. I think it'll be really fun. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to cover this giant window that's in front of me, because I really want to be able to use flashlights and turn the lights off and kind of make it a whole spooky area, I guess, a whole like spooky theme. This way they really kind of get into it, because a lot of my kids don't like to read. So, like I said, I did start working on my articulation spooky stories for some of my older kids that are able to kind of tackle the reading portion. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can transform my room. Right in front of me is a giant window. It's massive. And I'm trying to figure out a way that I can cover that, because I would really like to set the scene for the scary stories and have the lights off and have it be kind of dark and use flashlights and whatnot, and kind of make it like a Campfire Tales type environment, especially since a lot of my little friends struggle with reading and it's definitely not their favorite thing to do. I think that having that whole aesthetic and that scene set up will really kind of motivate them and make it a lot more fun. But I did get started on that. I think I started with TH, and then I just did R and R blends, and then I'm going to work on probably some L and L blends and just kind of some of the higher up sounds, consonant clusters and things like that, that my 4th and 5th graders are working on. I might even try to do it with my 2nd and 3rd graders. I'm not sure how that would go though, depending on their reading level. But the whole point is that they're able to read it and sound out the words. I did make the words relatively simple so that they can sound them out, and I can kind of just check off whether or not they're doing it. And it kind of gives me a more in context feel, rather than having them repeat a sentence or a word, you know, that I say directly to them. So if they're reading it, they don't get, you know, me modeling it at all, and I can really kind of see where they're at with it. And I think that would be super beneficial, just kind of to gauge if they need a little bit more carryover, if it really is just in the context of the therapy room that they're doing it, or if they are kind of generalizing that skill over into things like reading and schoolwork and classroom activities as well. So I think I will get that finished up. They are short stories, they're not anything long. I'm thinking I have like 2 to 3 kids, and if each kid takes 5 minutes to read something, that's 15 minutes, and I only have 20-minute sessions. Plus, you know, going over our rule and giving out speech bucks and counting them out and trading them in, so that does take up a bit of time. So they do have to be relatively short, so I'm trying to cram as many keywords in there as I can, so that we're not using too many filler words that don't have their sounds in them. But I am going to work on that for a little bit longer and then pack up and head out to the library. I will let you guys know what I think of that story, if it's a great story, if it's like an okay story, if I think there's anything that I could really do with it that would be really cute for some of my preschoolers, and things like that. So I will let you know. Good morning, guys. Happy Wednesday. I'm coming at you from inside my office already. I got to school. My battery was dead on the way to work. Poor lighting. Much better over here. So I decided to just wait until I got into the office to film the intro clip. But I know I ended off yesterday saying that I was going to go pick up my book, Even Monsters Need Haircuts, and kind of look through it and see what all I could do with it next week as an activity, and if it was going to be a book that I could use or if not. I did get the book. Here it is. It actually is kind of cute. I think it might be a little bit wordy, so I might have to just kind of do my own magic with the retell. But what I'm thinking of doing is kind of making some monsters that are bald and giving them different haircuts. So we'll get yarn and some, you know, construction paper, maybe some felt, and we can create a bunch of different monsters, and we can work on requesting colors and things like that, expanding utterances, and I'm thinking that might work. I do want to go through it a little bit more and see if there's anything else I can kind of pick out, but I'm thinking that that might be a really cute activity to do. So hopefully it's something that sticks. I came in this morning and I did get started. Well, I didn't get started. I kept working on some of my sound stories for the spooky story reading, and we are working on, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do some blends, clusters, TH sounds, R's, and probably a few other things. Usually my higher kids don't have that many issues with some of the smaller sounds like F's and L's and whatnot. So those are for my younger guys that wouldn't be able to read the stories. So I'm going to think of something different to do with them. But I think for my older kids, the spooky story setup would be something really exciting and motivating for them. It would kind of, like I said yesterday, entice them to read, because a lot of times that's not anybody's favorite thing. But this book is, like I said, it's pretty cute. Some of the pages are a little wordy, just, you know, so I probably will kind of have to work on that. I do think that there's probably a lot that I can go off of by the pictures. The pictures are really adorable. It's basically about a little boy whose father is a barber, and during the day the dad cuts hair, and then at night, once a month, the little boy opens it up at like midnight and all the monsters come in and he cuts their hair. So, and then he has to get back in time before the day starts for his father to come in so he doesn't get caught. So it is a pretty cute book. I'm not sure if my youngest preschoolers will ultimately get the whole premise of the story, but like I said, I think it would be cute if we read this and then they could pick different monsters and we could give them different hairstyles. Initially what I was thinking is, like, I was thinking of the old school Play-Doh where you like pressed on the body, it was the hair salon, and their hair grew out of their head and you can cut it and do different styles, but I don't have that. I don't know where that's sold, and I'd also need like 9 of them because it's a fairly large group. So I think this might be the next best thing. If I come up with any other ideas, I will definitely share that with you guys, just in case going forward the rest of this month, if anybody wants to do this book and maybe an activity with it. I'd love to hear what other people either have done or think that they could do with it. But initially, off the top of my head, that's just kind of what came to me. I was like, that would be a really cute idea. And we can kind of use that for language expansion and, you know, things of that nature. But that's where I'm at with this, and I really do like the fact that I can get so many things from the library, so I think I'm gonna start looking up some more books just in general even after Halloween and see if there's anything that I can find there going forward, because most of my little ones do seem to like the storybook and then the activity paired with the book. So I kind of like that. It gives them a chance to be a little bit creative, but it also gives them a chance to really work on their language, and it's introducing books. Like I said, a lot of my students don't really like books, and it pains me because as a kid that was my favorite thing to do. Like, more than anything, all I ever wanted to do was read from a very early age. I remember as young as 4th grade being very into reading, and there was like reading competitions, and there was always like Book It, even in like my younger years. So it was always something that I was like super passionate about, and it was one of my favorite things to do because I didn't have to leave my house and I could go anywhere that I wanted. And I feel really bad that a lot of the kids these days don't have that same feeling about reading, and I just also think it's because of a lack of exposure to books. So anytime that I can kind of introduce them to books and how cool books are, I would love to do that. And being that they're so young, I think it's good that we start early and kind of build that love for books, because I personally love books, and I can't imagine what my childhood would have been like if I didn't have books to read growing up. So hopefully we can kind of instill some of that a little bit, fingers crossed. But I am going to keep cutting out my monsters for my Make a Monster, as well as my scarecrow pieces for building scarecrow puppets, because I found that that's a lot easier than trying to cut it out during the session. There's just not enough time. So I have about half an hour, 20 minutes until my first session, and I'm going to do that and hopefully get all of those cut out for my kiddos today. And I will check in with you guys in a little bit. friends, so I just got back from my other school and I finally have a puppet to show you. One of my students today started it, but he's going to finish it tomorrow. So most of my students are bringing them home because they do finish them, or at least the gluing portion, and they don't have time to color it. But my one student is able to finish it tomorrow, so I am going to show you. He colored the first two, the hat and the pumpkin, but then kind of crumpled the rest of it. So he's a little rough for the wear, but that's okay. But these are what the puppets look like, except this guy kind of has squished arms and legs. But I think they came out super cute. I know the hands are slightly large, but it really helps for the kids to be able to stick them on. So that is why I left them pretty big, and so far the kids are loving them. And I'm super excited about that. I did print out some of my monster pieces over here for my friends that are going to play Make a Monster today. And then the rest of my kids are going to finish these puppets. And that's pretty much it for the afternoon. I don't think there's anything else major on our list of things to do. It's mostly just finishing up these things. And I did finish the story with everyone, so we are good to go on that. And I will touch base with you guys at the end of the day and let you know how it all went. I'll see you guys later. I just had some friends leave that got to start their monsters, so this is what they have so far. We're going to finish them next week and then decorate them and color them in, but I think they came out really cute so far. I usually love seeing what kids can kind of come up with and how they want to put things. So these are really silly looking monsters, but hopefully next week we will be able to color them in, and then I can hang them up for a little bit before Halloween comes. We have finally made it to the end of the day, and I have a few more of my Mega Monsters that some of my kids started, and I am going to show you guys what they came up with. And it's always really fun to see, like I was saying, how they kind of maneuver the pieces, because none of these are the way that I would have thought to use these pieces. But my kids get pretty creative, so I'm always willing to learn some new ways and to see what the kids see, and I think they're really cute. And my groups were really sad that they didn't finish them today, but I told them not to worry because we will finish them next week, and that kind of makes lesson planning easier for next week because I don't have to worry so much, especially since Monday's a professional day and the students won't be here. Most of the kids I see for articulation are on Mondays and then either Wednesday or Thursday. So they will just have one day next week, and then we can use that day to finish up my Make a Monster activity. And hopefully they'll let me hang them around the room for at least a little bit before they want to take them home. But most of them seem pretty excited to have them and keep them. I'm also thinking of maybe going off of this and building off of it and doing a writing prompt. The only thing that most of my kids hate more than reading is writing, and we do really struggle with that in general as a school. So I'm thinking about maybe doing like a scary story based on this monster, and maybe hopefully that will motivate them to do it a little bit more. I'm not 100% sure though. Not sure how that's gonna work, honestly. Now, you know, as I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure if we're gonna have time, but if we do have time, that could be a fun activity that we could kind of branch off with and kind of create a story and a background for all of their monsters and names and things like that. So that could be kind of fun. But I'm going to show you what they look like because they are right down here. And we have a bunch of silly ones. That guy's got his arms up. They used my alien eyes. I had just intended them to just be like put on for the stems sticking up, but they got really super creative. This friend here just kind of took up his whole body rather than just the football head, which I think actually looks really cool. So, like I said, they are pretty unique, and then they will get to finish these up next week, and hopefully after that like I said, they'll let me hang them up for a little bit before they want to take them home because I think they're so cute. And this is a really fun activity, and actually with this group, this was a language group that I did it with, a 3rd grade, and we just did a lot of following directions and expanding utterances because some of my friends don't always like to use their words, and they definitely should be speaking in complete sentences. So we did definitely kind of work on that. We did prepositions and also pronouns, discussing whether or not their monster was going to be a he or a she, and kind of making up scenarios and places that the monsters could go, which is what initially prompted my writing idea of creating like a storyline for these guys and, you know, crazy adventures that they get into. But we shall see. So I am going to keep working on my articulation spooky stories. I have about, I think, 45 minutes before school lets out, so I figure I can get some of that done when I go home tonight. I do want to work on creating the monsters for the haircut story next week and see if I can get those kind of started / out of the way and whatnot, because that'll really help on Friday, because I do have a lot of meetings on Friday. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it works. Some nights it's really good and, you know, I can crank stuff out and I love everything, and other days I can spend 13 hours on something and make 0 progress. But I will let you guys know how that goes. And I also, there's something else that I wanted to make and now I can't remember what it is, but it'll come to me. It will. But I will probably check in with you guys tomorrow. I hope you all had a good Wednesday and your weeks are going smoothly, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Good afternoon, my friends. That's right, afternoon, not morning. I'm coming at you super late today. It is already after lunch and after my last 2 groups, and then I have one more group that I have to finish out. Today was a little wonky because it was picture day, so a lot of my friends were going to get their little pictures taken, so they were not available. But that's okay. I just finished with one of my groups and my room looks like a hot mess. It's pretty bad. I'm about to go clean it up for a little bit because it can't stay like this. This is currently what it looks like. It is a little rough. Anyway, I'm gonna go pick that up and then cut out some more pieces for the scarecrow puppet because my last group is going to be making their puppets today. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that started. Hopefully it looks a little bit better soon. This is so much better. It doesn't look better, but it is. Hey friends, it's the end of the day right now and I just finished packing up. I did get to work on some of my materials for not next week, but 2 weeks from now. I actually think I'm pretty much all set for next week. I just have to get the supplies for the hair and the different hairstyles. We're going to keep going with my Make a Monster game next week for all my Arctic groups. There just wasn't enough time and they seem to really like it, so I'm going to carry that over. And then for my preschool Arctic groups, I'm actually going to do the pre-made one. So they get to roll the dice and make the ones that already have the colors and whatnot, just because I think it would be too much trouble to have them glue and decorate and things like that. So we're all set next week for articulation. And then the book, Even Monsters Need Haircuts, I totally spaced and realized that Monday is a professional day for us, so the children do not have school. Therefore, I do not have my group over at the other preschool where we do the whole class session. So I'm just going to read that the 2 days that I see my little guys. and we can maybe try to see if we can read the book and do the activity. If not, we'll just read the book and kind of talk about the book and things like that. Maybe do a monster sort or something a little bit quicker than that whole hair activity, but I will do that for my other kids since I already have the monsters made. And that's pretty much it. I started for the next week after that is letter F, so the 5 little pumpkins we're doing, that song/poem. So I started making the pumpkin outlines. I'm going to do a following directions where if then statements, like if you're a boy, color the stem brown, if you're a girl, color the stem yellow. And those always tend to be really interesting to see for some of my older kids especially that have trouble with following directions and multi-step directions even. And I made the placemats for the preschoolers who are going to make pumpkin faces. I am going to try to see if I can find the cookie cutters. If not, I'll just order them off of Amazon. I know I have to do that soon though, just to ensure that they get here, because I'm probably the only person that doesn't have Prime. But I am going to head out now, get home, maybe do a little bit more work. I do have an article review to do for Monday, kind of look over that a little bit, but I have some other things to do for my other business, making hats and ear warmers. I have a few orders that need to go out in about a week, and I just have to finish those up and make sure those are all ready to go for the consignment shops, so I gotta get that done. But I will check in with you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow I do have an IEP meeting, and then also kind of I think I'm just going to do reports and paperwork and see if I can get caught up on that stuff, because I do have a few things lagging that aren't due anytime soon, but I do want to make sure I don't fall through the cracks with them. But I will see you guys tomorrow. Hello my friends, and happy Friday. We finally made it to the end of the week. I have been working on my paperwork and my write-ups today so far this morning. I have just finished the write-up for the evaluation that I did a few weeks ago, which I'm glad I got it out of the way. I do let it kind of sit for a week, and I'll probably come back next week and read back over it just to make sure that everything is copacetic and makes sense, because I've definitely done the last minute report writing where I have half sentences or something doesn't make any sense at all. So I try to get them done as early as possible. If I can't get them done the same day, then definitely within the first few weeks. His meeting's not till December, so we're good to go. We still have some time, and then I can just check it over and make sure I don't look really silly because I didn't make sense in my writing. But I got that out of the way, and I am going to laminate some stuff today. I brought my laminator in, and all of those papers that I didn't get to laminate last week, so I'm going to do that today, print out a bunch of stuff for next week, laminate that as well. I do have my IEP meeting at noon today, so I'm trying to get some stuff done before I have to go to that. And then I do have to make some photocopies of paperwork to put into people's mailboxes and just kind of some like odds and ends paper pushing stuff, and I want to get that done, so that's what I'm going to do now, and I will check in with you guys while I am laminating all of the things. Just to show you guys what I've been working on, I was making the monster heads to add the hair to, and then what I did was I made some sorting cards. Let's see if we can increase. There we go. So I did give them some hair, but then I sorted them. This one I ended up making a mummy. But this way just my kids can work on categorizing and sorting. And then I made a graveyard scene with just some tombstones in the tree, and then some people. So I have my 3 monster friends, a ghost, a black cat, and a coffin, and I think I'm going to try to draw a bat and put him down here. And then a set the scene page, which this is just going to be the directions, and it'll work on prepositional phrases and things like that, like put the zombie next to the tree, put the cat in front of the white tombstone, like things like that. And actually what I'm going to do with these pieces is laminate them and cut these guys out and put magnets on them. And then I have like the cookie sheet trays, and then this can go on the back of the cookie sheet tray with magnets, and then these will magnetize and stick, so you can create a bunch of different scenes, and I think that'll be a lot of fun, especially as a way to kind of switch up the whole following directions. And I also want to do some yes/no cards and make maybe a few stories, so this way I can incorporate some WH questions into them as well, and then have this whole setup as one product. And what I'll do is I'll put it in my TPT store for anybody that's working on language or language goals and needs something quick for Halloween. This will have a bunch of different activities for varying ages and skill levels. Right now, in fact, it's well past the end of the day. I'm losing light here. It's about 6 o'clock and I kind of got wrapped up in some lesson planning and material creating, but the good news is that I printed most of it out and most of it's finished, so I just have to laminate it and cut it out, and then I'm sort of ahead of the game, which is a bonus. I was working on my monster things and I just got them printed out. I did fight with the printer though, so I do have my monster sort cards where we're just going to be sorting the different monsters. I have another one. Don't know where he is. He's the zombie. These are the people for my magnet board. I have the vampire, the mummy, the zombie, the coffin, cat, the ghost, and then the bat. And they are going to go in this scene, which did kind of print a little wonky. I don't know if you can see the line here, and then this didn't actually come out a color, but that's okay. We'll fix it in the PowerPoint / Illustrator so that it works for everybody else, but for what I need it for, I'm not going to bother reprinting it. But these are going to go together along with this, which are 10 directions for this scene. So this is all one activity. This sorting activity is another activity, and then a hallmark of today, which isn't it always the case that it's never what you intend for it to be. I wrote another story. This one's called Bo the Ghost, and it's all about my cute little ghost friend Bo, who is a little ghost, and all the things that he has to go through in order to earn his last O so he can be Boo. And I don't know why. I was just sitting at my computer and I thought of that, and I thought it would be a really cute story. The premise basically is that he's thinking about, you know, being a bad ghost, and his two older brothers always go out and scare people and leave him by himself, and he's sad and he wants to be a scary ghost too. So he tries all these different things to be scary, and then he just had to be himself. And it came naturally. I don't know if that's a good message to send to children. Be yourself and you'll be scary. I'm not sure. We're gonna roll with it though. But yeah, it's just a bunch of cute little graphics. I'm actually gonna laminate this and then punch it and put it together, hopefully before I leave, because I don't have the punch at home or the binding system. So hopefully this works. I like this one because he tries to be a zombie and he gets like a little zombie mask. I think that's really cute for some reason. And then he puts on makeup to try to look scary. He kind of just looks like a clown and nobody thinks he's very scary. And then I also like this face. It's like a little grumpy face, and I feel like I make that face a lot. So this is a really cute book that I'm hoping that I can use for something. I might make some language and WH companion questions to go with it. Also maybe a storyboard with visual pieces to identify the characters of the story. For now, I just have the story. This was not on my to-do list today, but I ended up with 20 pages of a children's story for Halloween. So, you know, priorities. But I am going to get to laminating all of this right now, and then I am hopefully going to cut it out and, like I said, assemble this book and then probably go home because I have to go grocery shopping still, and it's getting dark. Oh, the other thing that I forgot. These are my monster friends that I initially embarked on this journey for. And like I said, it's just the same monsters that I have, but these guys are bald, and we are going to give them different hairstyles. And what I figured I would do is I'm going to laminate some of them on cardstock, and then the other ones I'll just print out on color, in color, on just plain old printer paper, and those are the ones that the kids can decorate and take home. Just because I buy my cardstock, it's really expensive, and I don't have 20 to 40 sheets to spare. So they're going to make it on regular computer paper, but I'm going to laminate some, and then maybe we can do it with either dry erase markers or Play-Doh or something like that, where it could just be wiped off and it's not a big deal, but then they wouldn't take it home. I would just keep it. But just so I have it. So like I said, I'm going to get to laminating this mess, get it cut out, assembled, and then hopefully get out of here. It is about 6:45 and I am finally done laminating and cutting out the stuff for my book. I didn't cut out any of the other stuff. I'm just going to bring that home and do it. But I do have my book here, all 20 pages. I'm going to head downstairs now to bind the book and hopefully get out of here because it is getting late and I still have to run to the grocery store. So I'm going to go do this, and I will show you guys, I guess in next week's vlog, how it turned out. I hope you guys had an awesome week and you have an even more awesome weekend. And as always, thank you so much for sticking with me, and I'll see you guys next week.